The teenager was trying to hide his fear since rumor had it.
They like, I don't know if he's gonna go into this, but they would give kids something like $20 or something. I don't know. It was some amount of money that wasn't like worth it to go down there to like test it, to go in there, and then they'd come out with like chipped teeth and all kinds of fucking crazy shit.
That the mannequins used to test the ride left the loop with no extremities. All because the coaster had a vertical loop at its very end that put immense pressure on the visitor's body.
Yeah.
The loop reportedly broke the laws of physics, and the sensation of going on it was similar to going to space. The teenager lied down on his back, put his arms on his chest, crossed his ankles, and started his crazy descent. The spectators held their breaths. While the guy was going in a straight line, everything was fine. However, upon starting the loop, he hit the back of his head on the ride's wall, almost losing consciousness.
Yeah.
Yet, he got very lucky. After being pushed out of the pipe, he quickly mastered the situation, stood on his feet, and smiled at the crowd, applauding him as a hero who tamed the most dangerous ride of all time. However, not that many people have ridden Cannonball Loop. The slide constantly got clogged with mud and sand that accumulated in the loop itself, and this caused people countless injuries. That's why it was closed very soon. People say that if the loop hadn't been closed, it would have definitely multiplied the number of deaths in Action Park. I'm sure that so far into the video, your only question is, how did the owner of such a dangerous park keep his controversial business running for so long? Eugene Mulvihill was a master of persuasion. He was so—
I've gotta watch that movie. It is a crime that I haven't seen that movie.
So influential that even the investigators who worked with the numerous accidents often left the park feeling like everything was under control. But the key detail was the insurance company in the Cayman Islands that helped the owner avoid consequences for the accidents. As it turned out, it was created by Mulvihill himself. This trick helped him evade responsibility, but in the end, the park went crashing down. In 1996, the place got closed due to a bankruptcy caused by the endless lawsuits. But our story doesn't end there. The park was purchased and renamed Mountain Creek Water Park. And in 2015, the Mulvihill family took back the ownership, introducing stricter safety rules. Today, the park operates without its dangerous attractions, yet the memories of its past remain alive in pop culture of the 80s and 90s.
Nothing will
just
change.
Like Backstreet Boys, Furby, or Nickelodeon. Still, just like with the latter, even the most colorful memories often hide dark moments.
Damn, they didn't talk about a lot of
so beloved by Gen X
here.
park goers, became a grave for 6 of its visitors. Tell us in the comments, which attraction from the old Action Park would you risk riding if you'd
I'd go on all of them.
Even dare to visit what's possibly the deadliest amusement park in history?
Maybe. I don't know about the loop one. I'd have to think about that one. I've got to watch that movie with Johnny Knoxville. I was trying to think of who made that. And it's a shame. It's a shame I haven't seen that movie yet. Oh, Action Park. I wonder if there's any more, because there's some crazy shit that happened in Action Park. I've seen a lot of the documentaries on it, though, and I always learn something new. The stories that come out of that is just insane. Have I not watched Defunctland's thing on it? It's not that long. Because I've watched the HBO thing, the Class Action Park. That's a very good documentary. Highly recommended. I guess I may have started to watch this, but I guess I didn't. Or if I have, I don't remember.
The year is 1976.
The
Gene Mulvihill, the head of entertainment company Great American Recreation, has added a new attraction to Vernon, New Jersey's Vernon Valley Ski Resort. 2 brand new alpine slides were installed to keep business up in the off-season. An alpine slide is a one-person cart ride in which the rider rides down a hill on a smooth track. The rider has a brake lever
it's like a luge,
legs,
right?
giving them complete control of their speed. The attraction had become popular for ski resorts in the late 70s. And
actually, this reminds me, and I'm like really sad about it. I think here in our Six Flags, they are shutting down Lava Bora, which is it's a roller coaster like this. It doesn't use rails. It's just like it like you get in a cart with wheels and it goes around. And it's painted like a snake with like yellow, red, and black, and it's like really fun. But if there's even like a hint of a raindrop coming down, they shut it down. I think it's the only coaster like that left. Well, not anymore, I guess.
Vernon Valley Ski Resort's
I think I
Alpine
heard that.
Slide was advertised as an attraction for all ages, claiming, "We've had grandfathers and we've had kids of kindergarten age coming down our runs alone." I also have a picture showing a mother controlling the sled with an infant in her arms. It's that easy. After the success of the slide, Mulvihill went forward with his plans to expand the ski resort into a water park during the off-season. He added 2 water slides and a racetrack, and more slides.
Yeah, here it is. Sorry, I won't pause it anymore. Lava Bora at Six Flags Over Texas is permanently closed without prior notification from the park. The bobsled coaster opened in 1986. It's as old as I am. And there's half a dozen rides still operating. They have one or two. Oh, there are more? Or is that... No, that's another crate. That's just a creator of it. Yeah, it's just shut down. Nobody knew why or anything. This happened like... Not... Yeah, this happened like a couple of weeks ago. That blows. That was a really fun ride. It's very, very unique. Yeah, that's sad.
A softball field, a tennis court, and a swimming pool were added shortly thereafter. The Vernon Valley Summer Park was rebranded to Action Park, a thrilling amusement park where you control the action. More slides and rides were added, and they began their big marketing push to draw audiences into their new water park.
Just go to Action Park. There's no other park like it.
When it's hot out, this is a great place to spend the day with your family. There are lots of big things for little kids to do. I love Action Park because it's so beautiful.
It is pretty. It does look pretty up there.
Race like a pro. It's great. These are the most amazing rides in the world. I love it here. There's nothing in the world.
The park was revolutionary.
I'd go.
Not only was it one of the first water parks of its kind in the United States, but it also marketed itself as the biggest. It was eventually home to 75 rides, 40 of which were water slides. Action Park was split into 3 themed lands. The first was...
I wonder what opened first. If it was this or Schlitterbahn. I'll look at that.
Motorworld consisted of 3 types of attractions: land, water, and air rides. On land was the popular battle action tanks. For an additional fee, guests could ride inside tanks equipped with tennis ball cannons. The goal was to shoot the other tanks in the caged area on one of their targets, disabling their cannons for 15 seconds.
Awesome.
Those that chose to ride the tanks were allotted 5 minutes to do so, and those that did not want to ride could pay to use a stationary cannon from the outside. Maintenance employees attempting to fix broken down tanks would be subject to fire from the rowdy guests, making the attraction a nightmare to work at. The other 2 land-based attractions were the Lola cars and the Super Go-Karts, both of which were kart-based attractions. Super Go-Kart.
My dad was really, really into go-karts when I was young. I think I was like 7 or something, and he got him a go-kart, and then he got me a go-kart, and we lived in this little cul-de-sac or whatever, and we'd drive the go-karts around. That shit was fun as fuck. We'd like work on them and stuff, and I got into a crash because he had fit the smaller go-kart. I want to say it was like with a 10 horsepower engine or something, and it originally had like 3 or 5. I don't remember. It was so long ago, but anyway, he did that. It's like, oh, you go real fast. It's like it's actually quite literally going from like 50cc into Mario Kart to like 150cc. You just go so much faster. And anyway, we were like racing or whatever, and I remember like it was yesterday, I looked behind and I was like about to turn, but I didn't know how quick I was going, and I just like fucking slammed into the curb of of that cul-de-sac, and then like I flipped over, and my mom's fucking not having it. I got up, like I wasn't hurt at all. But you could see like the cart just fucking flip and me go flying out of it. I was 7 or whatever, right? Just got up. It's like, oh yeah, that was fun. That was awesome. And my mom is not fucking having any of it. Oh god. Go-karts. Maybe it's why I like Mario Kart so much. I could pop in Mario Kart right now and play it. I love
Carts
Mario
were driven
Kart.
on a small loop. The carts themselves were designed to max out at 20 miles per hour, but the employees found that sticking a tennis ball in the governor device allowed the cart to go as fast as possible, with the new maximum speed being around 50 miles an hour.
That is so funny. Like, you set up something, and immediately somebody is going to find out some way of like bypassing some kind of safety function to make it go quicker. Like, inevitably, it's not like, oh, we created this and then everyone's going to go on there and it's going to be a fun time. No, there's got to be somebody that's like, oh, I know how to get around this and make it far more fun. Every time console comes out, you get a mod chip.
Head-on collisions frequently sent guests to the hospital, and the fumes from the engines overwhelmed riders at times.
I do remember the
lower
fume
cars
thing.
Were mini open cockpit race cars driven on a longer track, and they cost an additional charge to ride. Their maximum speed
go-karts are
could also
fun
be
as
tampered
shit.
with by park employees. These were also used after hours by the workers, sometimes being taken off the track and driven on the nearby highway. There were 2 water rides in Motorworld. The super speedboats were driven in a small circle around an island in a pond.
I'm trying to remember, like, I like to guess the bad stuff that's, goes on in these, like, little game or something I play. I think the motorboats, like, were leaking fuel or something, and it made the water incredibly fucking, like, dangerous to get in. Because I think they use, like, diesel or I don't know. I could be wrong on that. I'm actually pulling that out of my ass, but it was something like that.
A pond that also had a large population of snakes in it. The guests would often attempt to bump nearby boats, as if they were on Motorworld's other water
Forgot about the
attraction,
snakes.
bumper boats. These were boats placed in a small pool, and were designed to withstand guests crashing into one another.
Yeah.
These were known to leak gasoline, which once required a guest to be examined after too much fuel leaked on their skin. The boats were also incredibly small, and riders with long legs had to position their feet off the side of the boat to fit. This led to injuries and bone fractures after collisions. Finally, Motorworld had 2 airbase attractions. One was Space Shot, which was a typical drop.
Hold on 1 second.
Give me a bank card.
1 second. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. What was I talking about? Fuel, bumper, I don't know. Anyway,
Tower ride, and it was one of the safest rides at the park, given it was only open for Action Park's last operating year. The second air ride was another upcharge.
Wait, what was that? I didn't catch that, sorry.
This led to injuries and bone fractures after
Action
collisions.
Park did come like
Finally,
a year
Motorworld
before
had 2
Schlitterbahn.
airbase attractions. One was Space Shot, which was a typical drop tower ride and was one of the safest rides at the park, given it was only open for Action Park's last operating year.
Safe is a relative term in this case, meaning not immediately life-threatening. Fair enough.
The second air ride was another upcharge attraction, Slingshot, which was also fairly
Woo!
safe. This ride
I've
was
never been on a
commonly used
slingshot
part of
ride.
a carnival in which guests were shot up on 2 bungee cords and flipped upside down as they flew through the air.
It looks
There's
fun.
no doubt that Motor World had its dangerous attractions, but this is just the beginning of what Action Park has in store. Another section of the park was... Many non-water-based attractions were located in their own section of the park,
Snapple?
sometimes labeled the Alpine section.
Wait, what? You got Country Time Lemonade? I promise you, there's not a lemonade anywhere near this. Good on you if you know what that's from. Domino's Pizza. We got... What is Bungie? It's like Halo. Snapple. Beer. It's just beer. Burgers. I gotta find the Country Time Lemonade thing now.
Center. These included the aforementioned Alpine slides, as well as a bungee jump titled the Snapple Snap Up Whippersnapper Ride.
That's
Originally
a
having
good
2
name.
jump stations and then later 4, guests could jump off the tower for an additional fee. A skate park also had a short run at Action Park,
Wait, what? They could jump off the...
titled the Snapple Snap Up Whippersnapper Ride. Originally
is it?
having 2 jump stations and then later 4, guests could jump off the tower for an additional fee. A skate park also...
They could jump off the tower for an additional fee? I thought that's what the ride was. I have no idea whether they landed a lucrative Snapple sponsorship or is Aldi named. Interesting. I don't think I knew about that.
2 jump stations and then later 4, guests could jump off the tower for an additional fee. A skate park also had a short run at Action Park. It was poorly designed, as it was surrounded by concrete and had uneven edges, which led to many injuries during its existence. Interestingly, Action Park...
To be fair, though, isn't that like... Isn't that like every skate park ever? I know this isn't, it says it's not the skate park, but like... It's kind of what you signed up for if you're going to go skate at a skate park to get injured. I mean, not to get there, but like you probably will at some point. I don't see how holding that against them is like some special thing, since skate parks are plentiful everywhere.
and had uneven edges, which led to many injuries during its existence.
Oh, uneven edges. I guess it
Action
could
Park
be
also
built
had an attraction
shittily.
entitled the Action Park Gladiator Challenge, partially based off of the popular American Gladiators TV show. This included obstacle courses and jousting matches against the Action Park Gladiators. Finally, Action Park had its own monorail called the Transmobile.
I
This
kind of
went
wish
to the ski
American
lodge, the
Gladiators
Alpine
was
Center,
back.
and to
I
Motor
would
World. So far,
probably
Action
watch
Park
it
has
quite
proved
a
to be
bit.
dangerous. But where are the absolutely terrifying rides? Where are the rides that are so insane that their mere existence is
I watch
unbelievable?
American Ninja Warrior, or I
Moreover,
used to,
where are
like, all the
water
time.
slides? This section put the action in Action Park. Waterworld had it all. It was home to the tidal wave pool, a 100 feet by
grave
200
pool.
feet pool that could hold anywhere between 500 and 1,000 people.
They should
The
have called
pool's
it
floor
the
was slanted,
Deadpool.
and the further a guest went in it, the deeper it got. Waves
I guess
went 20
Deadpool
minutes
wasn't
on,
around
10 minutes
back
off,
then.
and they could reach a height of over 3 feet. This was challenging for swimmers of all skill levels, as the pool was hard to read and the fresh water was more difficult to swim in than salt water. A dozen lifeguards were on duty at the pool, and they would have to save around 30 people on a busy day.
That's right. I didn't really even think about that. Freshwater is harder to swim in than saltwater. Saltwater is more buoyant. Huh. Interesting. I've never thought about that.
Tarzan Swing was a heavily advertised attraction in which guests would swing on a 20-foot cable over a pool. This spring-fed pool was so cool that lifeguards would have to rescue guests that could not swim after the shock of the cold water. This was also a popular attraction
Yeah,
for
that's
men
what
to
I was
pull down their
talking
pants
about
or women
earlier.
to pull up their tops for the line of people to see. The appropriately named Aqua Scoot
You know
was
there's a
sled,
bunch of fucking
with
horny
which they would slide
teenagers
down an
watching
assembly
them.
line style roller coaster, hurtling them toward a shallow pool that they would
Fucked
skip
up.
across. If the guest was not in an ideal position, it would get caught under the water, sending the rider crashing forward.
Yeah.
There were originally a pair of
Keep
these
that shit
slides,
up.
each 30 feet long, but a third slide was eventually
That looks
added.
like fun.
The diving cliffs had 2 jumping bases, one 23 feet and the other 18 feet tall, with the pool below being 16 feet. The pool was also for non-jumpers, some of which were unaware of the cliffs, which resulted in collisions.
Yeah,
There was
people
only one
jumped
lifeguard
to it.
on duty, who had to work
Think about that, like falling 23 feet. You're going really fucking quick when you hit that water. If somebody's under you, I would imagine that they would like nearly instantly die. 23 feet's like 4 of me, a little less than.
Extra hard to make sure that no
wild.
one was at the bottom of the pool. The super speed water slides, also known as Geronimo Falls, were a pair of high-speed vertical water slides. One of them
I've
was
never
steeper than
been
the
on
other,
a
and
slide
both
like
were
that, like a
dangerous.
super
Neither
high
of these
water
was the
slide.
safer Kamikaze, which was a more traditional tube slide. The kayak experience was pretty self-explanatory and used underwater fans to simulate water rapids.
I love the idea of kayaking. I absolutely want to get a kayak. I nearly did in college, and then for whatever reason I didn't. They had these like inflatable kayaks that are like very good. Like you think inflatable, like some kind of pool thing, but nah, the kayaks were like very sturdy. I really wanted one. I guess now like where I'm working, there's a huge lake near there, and I don't know, we may have some like lake activities to do sometime now since I'm gonna be down there. That'd be fun. I like going to the lake.
This was dangerous, but that goes without saying at this point. A similar ride, the Roarin' Rapids, allowed guests to ride in a 1 or 2 person raft down a similar river. The Surf Hill had riders slide down a multi-laned, multi-hill slide on a mat. Riders could easily cross over to the adjacent lanes and cause collisions. And the 7th hill, nicknamed the Backbreaker, had an additional hump that would send riders flying, resulting in injury. The Colorado River Ride was another raft ride.
I imagine that if you have that many humps on that, whatever it was, that slide, there's always a certain speed that you can go to get like resonance to make you fly higher. And you see that in like roads and stuff, or like a road, like a highway will have bumps on it, or really bridges, I guess, have it quite a bit, and like those bumps are so evenly spaced out that like whenever you go over one and come down, it kind of like intensifies it. You know, if you've ever like jumped on a trampoline, you can bounce people really high if you time it just right. There's been some fucked up accidents on roads like that because people don't know like what's happening, and then like after 2 or 3 bumps, people's cars like literally left the road because they just did that. It's crazy. Anyway, sorry.
This time allowing up to 4 people, and it went through the wooded area of the park. At one point, the riders would come to a fork in the river and had to choose between 2 paths. The first path took guests under a waterfall and a series of tunnels.
That's awesome.
The second path included a waterfall and another fork, with one path being steeper than the other. The ride also included a foot-tall jump that would allow riders and their raft a short airtime. The Aerodonium was a skydiving simulator that caused injuries when guests would try to stop their falls with their arms. Waterworld also...
What the fuck? That looks like fun. That looks fun as shit. I've seen those like in malls where they'll just like put you in a tube. I had no idea something like this existed. That looks like fun, dude.
Skydiving simulator
Holy
that
shit.
caused injuries when guests would try to stop their falls with their arms. Waterworld also
Yeah,
had
like
a
one of
variety
those
of other
squirrel
water
suits.
slides and pools that were less notable, but there's one in particular that has yet to be mentioned. This is the attraction that made Action Park the most infamous, the Cannonball Loop. A tubed water slide with a vertical loop, similar to that of a roller coaster. It was rumored that during the testing of the attraction, Mulvihill offered $100 to employees who were willing to try it. Test dummies apparently came out of the loop without their heads. When it was open, guests would be weighed, hosed down, and given a set of instructions to decrease the possibility of injury.
The biggest thing about this that I think is bad is like, I don't know how they would get the top of the loop to be slippery, to be like always coated with water, right? Because like yeah, I mean, you just send jets of water down there and that's, you know, you slide obviously, but going in the loop, like you would have to well, you should lubricate like the top area of the loop inside, but there would be like no way of making sure it was lubricated the entire time.
A hatch was added to the top of the loop to assist stuck riders that could not make it all the way through the slide. Many guests that completed the loop would come out at the bottom, suffering from bloody noses or other injuries, either from hitting the top of the loop or the impact on the way down.
It's like chipped teeth and spinal injuries, I think. It's super fucked up.
The Cannonball Loop was indicative of a larger issue with Action Park, as many of the other attractions were poorly crafted by designers that were less than engineers, and most were designed to minimize cost rather than maximize safety.
It's like
the rides
Schlitterbahn.
became even more dangerous when paired with the fact that the park sold alcohol at many of the convenience stands, often to minors. There was even a microbrewery near Motor World. Many of the guests visiting the inexpensive park came from low-income areas, and did not have the necessary swimming skills to navigate some of the attractions and pools. Action Park also heavily marketed to Spanish populations, but there were no translations or translators for the guests when they visited, so explaining safety instructions was virtually impossible.
You already know that
Don't
Action
get
Park has
hurt.
the most innovative and exciting rides, the Alpine Slide, Grand Prix race cars, and spectacular water rides.
Man, I would
But
so go
Action
to
Park
that.
means more than just great rides. It means super live shows, fantastic
Ooh, listen to
summer
that
festivals,
saxophone.
and scrumptious food and drink, including an authentic German brewery.
Oh, yeah.
Come to Action Park because the rides
Saxophones.
are the only thing that's great. Brewery. Come to
Let's see, we got a tenor, we got a couple altos. This might be a Barry. Man, no love for sopranos. Like, come on, dude. I'm gonna get me like a real good soprano sax. The two that I have are kind of shitty, not gonna lie. I mean, they work for what I need them to do. But I need to get like a really nice, like, Selmer or something.
Action Park because the rides aren't the only thing that's great. Labor Day Polish Festival, September 6th and 7th.
Sure.
The majority
Why
of
not?
those employees were teenagers and were not equipped to handle the rowdy guests at the park. So on any given day, you could have an overcrowded water park filled with drunk teenagers that couldn't swim, riding shoddily built attractions supervised by teenagers that may or may not be able to communicate with them. It is no wonder what happened next.
No! Don't die.
On July 8, 1980, a male employee was riding the Alpine Slide when his cart went off the track. He hit his head on a rock during the crash, killing him. He was only 19. 2 years later, on July 24, 1982, a 15-year-old guest was overcome by the waves of the tidal wave pool and drowned. On August 1st, a mere week later, a 27-year-old guest was riding the kayak experience when he was trying.
It's really weird how, like, and you see this a lot, but like something initially bad happens, like let's say to the park, and then like a subsequent, like, week after week, some other like really fucking heinous shit happens that may not necessarily be like tied to the first death. It's just like a weird pattern. Like whenever something happens, expect like 2 or 3 more like incredibly shitty similar things to happen. I don't know. Maybe it's like seeing a pattern where there's not any, but
To re-enter his kayak after
just
falling
weird.
out. When doing this, he made contact with the live wiring that powered the underwater
Yeah, he
fans.
got
The
electrocuted.
electrocution sent him into cardiac arrest, and he passed after being rushed to the hospital. 2
That's
years later, in
fucked up.
1984, a guest died on the Tarzan swing after a heart attack, supposedly due to the unexpected shock from the cold water. That same year, on August 27th, a 20-year-old drowned in the tidal wave pool. And on July 19th, 1987, another guest drowned there, giving it the nickname the Grave Pool. These deaths are
The
tragic
grave
and often
mind.
overshadowed by the lunacy and legacy of Action Park. Interestingly enough, Action Park was able to avoid many lawsuits with these deaths and many other injuries, due in part to its reputation and also the lax regulations New Jersey had for amusement and water parks. Great American Recreation was even able to expand the Action Park brand to other parts of the country, opening.
See, I think I remember, and I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering, but whenever I heard about that, like the guy on the Alpine sled, like getting thrown off or whatever and hitting his head on a rock and dying, I want to say that the defense that they used was that it was over the park line, so it like technically wasn't in the park. And that's like the defense that they used. I'm pretty sure that's right, but I don't know. I could be misremembering.
Pocono Action Park in Tannersville, Pennsylvania in 1980, and Action Mountain in Pine Hill, New Jersey in 1984.
Get wet at Action Mountain. Feel the thrill as you zoom through the black hole. Spin and splash.
They had the black hole. We have a black hole here in
play in our fun-filled kiddie area.
the water park near
Near
us.
Or race around the Grand
Or near
Prix
Six
track.
Flags.
Get wet on any of our action-packed rides at Action Mountain in Pine Hill, New Jersey.
What is that water park called?
It's awesome.
Pocono Action Park had many repeat attractions as Action Park, and was closed in
Hurricane
1991.
Harbor.
Action Mountain ran into some financial difficulties with the IRS and the town it was located in, and was closed in 1986. So why did the original Action Park close? While Action Park and Mulvihill were able to avoid lawsuits with many of the accidents and deaths, the 2 deaths in 1984 stemmed cases that rightfully plagued the park with a variety of legal problems.
I want to say that they closed because the like they couldn't do the insurance. It was way too high.
Mulvihill eventually pled guilty to 5 charges of insurance fraud. He and his associates claimed that the park saw over 1 million guests a year, and therefore the death toll was comparatively low. The local ER, on the other hand, said that they would have to treat 5 to 10 guests on some days. In response to the high amount of guests visiting the hospital, Action Park bought Vernon, New Jersey new ambulances. Despite all of these issues, the downfall of Action Park wouldn't come until 1996, and it was actually due to Great American Recreation's financial.
It's not that they didn't. It's so fucked up that they didn't use the money to make the park safer. They used the money to buy them more ambulances. It's so fucking funny to me.
Issues and not the park itself. On September 2nd, 1996, Action Park ended its final season, still with the hope that it would reopen the next year. However, Great American Recreation's bankruptcy made it impossible for Action Park to continue operations, so it didn't reopen. After this, the ski resort and Action Park were handed from investor to investor, undergoing renovations for 2 years before reopening in 1998 as Mountain Creek. Safety was a priority under this management, and a valiant effort was put forth to distance Mountain Creek from Action Park's reputation. However, in 2010, Mountain Creek underwent a bankruptcy of its own, and the water park and ski resort was sold to the Mulvihill family. 2 years after this, in 2012, Eugene Mulvihill passed away, and his son Andrew Mulvihill took over ownership of the park.
Stupid name.
2 years later, in 2014, Mountain Creek was rebranded back to Action Park. The park reopened many of its classic attractions, and started construction on new, terrifying ones. The Sky Caliber was another attempt at a 360-degree vertically looping water slide, although it used technology to enhance safety. From my knowledge, it is yet to open at the park, and there's almost no information on its status. The new Action Park tried to use nostalgia to draw guests back for 2 years, before in 2016 it was renamed back to Mountain Creek, in order to once again get away from the negative connotation of Action Park. Early this year, it was announced that Johnny Knoxville would be producing, writing, and starring in a film inspired by Action Park, but it was not shot on location. Death is heartbreaking.
This was a while ago.
It's designed for happiness and joy. Despite 6 people losing their lives there, Action Park is not remembered for its death toll. It is remembered for and by the kids that grew up with it and survived it. It is seen as a place where the quote-unquote popular and brave teens hung out. The fact that it was referred to as Traction Park or Class Action Park doesn't matter, because its inherent danger is more of a fond memory to the majority of its visitors. The burns, bruises, and the fractured tibias were a rite of passage for its former guests. You think you're cool because you survived a tame roller coaster at Disney in California or at Universal in Florida? Well, welcome to Vernon, New Jersey. Were you able to survive Action Park?
That's like the best advertising for it. That's so funny. I love watching shit about that. About the ambulances and stuff, making it safer. That's so fucking funny to me. Yeah, I want to hear like more stories about that. Let's see. Story of Action Park. Like, I don't want to keep retreading the same thing over and over, but that's so funny. What is this? Gyro drop? The fuck? There's no way. No. There's no way that's real. There's no way that's real. That looks like something from that short film. Gyro drop? What the there's no way. Have you seen the gyro drop on social media? It's, yeah, okay. There's no way. You'll be disappointed. Yeah, it's like that other thing. The ride does exist, and it's called the gyro drop. It's popular, but the video has greatly embellished the capabilities of the ride. In reality, it takes towers to the top. Once at the top, the gondola drops down at a speed of 62 miles. The intense part, it's probably the VR goggles that made the rider give the illusion of dropping somewhere else. Yeah, okay, this is like the real thing. That is interesting, like how the seats are set up. They're not like bunched together, it's all individual. It's just like a drop tower. Yeah, it's just a drop tower. It doesn't go back up and down? It's just a one drop? That's lame. At least... What the fuck? At least go back up and down. We have a drop tower here. Not like a big fan of them. They're whatever. Shit, hold on 1 second, be right back. Alright, sorry about that. The Batman roller coaster decapitation. I actually haven't, I've never heard of this.
At around 2 p.m. on the 28th of June 2008, a 17-year-old boy on a trip to the Six Flags Over Georgia theme park made a fatal mistake.
Uh-oh.
For reasons unknown, he scaled 2 fences and entered a restricted
Oh,
ride.
no, I have heard of... Yeah, this is so fucking stupid. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And people are defending it. Because this guy, like, dropped his phone or something, or maybe it was his glasses, I don't remember. Dropped something. And then, like, wanted to get it back. And he couldn't, like, clearly you can't wait because it's your phone. It's, like, dictating your entire life. You gotta have your phone, right? And he climbed 2 fences and got struck by the people that are riding the ride. And then his family was like, well, they should have been more clear or whatever. Like, the guy went over 2 fences. How more clear can you get? Don't go in there. God damn.
Subsequently,
I feel no
decapitated by a
remorse for
passing
that
train.
person.
The horrific incident made news nationwide, but it was not the first to occur on that same roller coaster. Batman, the ride, is a steel inverted coaster replicated at several Six Flags parks across America.
We have one here. It's fun.
Manufactured by Bolliger and Mabillard, it consists of a steel track around 820 meters, 2,700 foot, in length. At the time, it was the world's first inverted roller coaster, a name given
It was
because
huge.
trains dangled from the track rather than running on top of it. Riders were secured with over-the-shoulder harnesses and
Which are
completed
awful.
the ride with their legs dangling over the void. Initially, there was just one version of Batman the Ride, operating at Six Flags Great America in Illinois. Once the concept proved to be successful, however, management were quick to approve clones of the ride for 6 other Six Flags parks
Yeah.
across the country.
It's fun as shit.
The clone at Six Flags Over Georgia opened in 1997, making it just over 10 years old by the summer of 2008. That was the summer that
It would be so
Isaiah
fun to
LaShawn
build a roller
Ferguson
coaster.
and his parents came to the park as part of a trip organised by their local church group. At around 2 p.m, Ferguson and another boy entered the restricted area underneath Batman the Ride. There are conflicting reports about why they did so. Some witnesses claim that Ferguson lost a hat while riding the coaster and was trying to retrieve it. Others claimed that he wanted to touch the ride or grab the foot of one of the riders
This
as they
may
went
be-
by overhead.
This may be different, like this particular case, than the one that I know. I think the first one that he talked about, not this one, is the phone drop thing.
Still others speculated that the pair were taking a shortcut to the entrance of the ride in order to beat
Either
the
way, I
queues.
don't feel bad, like, at
While
all.
the reason that the two boys entered the restricted area is unknown, what they had to do to get there is a matter of what.
Hold on 1 second.
You go with me. Go right now.
All right. Sorry.
Widely publicised fact. The dangerous area beneath the roller coaster was protected by 2 6-foot fences, which the boys scaled one after the other,
How does
ignoring
anyone feel
multiple
bad for that?
highly visible warning signs in the process. Once inside the ride area, the boys made their way to a spot directly under the ride track at the bottom of a drop. It was here that Ferguson was hit. The train was travelling at its top speed of 80 km per hour, or 50 miles per hour, when the
Pretty
incident
quick.
occurred. A rider's dangling foot connected with Ferguson's head, and at this speed, the impact was significant enough to completely decapitate him, killing him
Fucking
instantly.
wild.
The other boy who had accompanied Ferguson
Could
into
you
the
even
restricted
imagine
area was
witnessing that?
uninjured. Somewhat miraculously, so too was the rider whose leg had been involved in the collision. In the immediate aftermath of the accident, the ride was closed while an investigation was completed. It was during this time that it emerged that Ferguson was not the first person to die in this manner. In May 2002, a
That's-
58-year-old groundskeeper named Samuel Milton Guyton was killed while in the same restricted area, again by an impact from the dangling leg of one of the ride's passengers.
Why was he there?
On both occasions, the ride was closed for little longer than a single day, just long enough for the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration to inspect the ride.
I may
and
be
deem
thinking of
it
something
safe for
completely
passengers.
different then.
On both occasions, it was ultimately unknown why the victim ended up where they were.
Those people are
On
dumb.
both occasions, the incident was caused by the same mechanism, and yet no changes were made in the aftermath of either death.
Why would they? Like, why would they need to change that? There were 2 fences there. Roller coaster has nothing to do with it. It's fucking moronic people.
The clone of Batman the Ride at Six Flags Over Georgia still operates to this day.
As it should.
There is no memorial on site to either of its victims.
Good. That's some fucking Darwin Award shit right there. It's exactly what that is. Speaking of.
Mad Mike Hughes took to the sky in a makeshift steam engine rocket when suddenly something went wrong. Mike had wanted to see
Oh,
the
no.
Earth from a height of 1,525 meters, since he believed it's actually flat. and the government's just hiding this fact from us. In this footage,
Don't
we
even.
can see the rocket adopt a curve-like trajectory, after which the landing parachutes accidentally open and detach from the vehicle during the launch stage. The rocket hit the ground and crashed, killing Mike.
Yeah.
He'd assembled the rocket himself, apparently making serious engineering mistakes. In this video,
Really?
I've gathered stories about the
Really?
most extreme incidents with fatal consequences. Some of them seem incredible, but all have been taken from reliable sources. I warn you though, as always,
I
viewer
think I know
discretion
the
is
bear
advised.
one.
August 2012, Montana, United States. On Highway 93 near Kalispell, a car hit some strange creature that unexpectedly appeared on the road.
This is Bigfoot.
Almost instantly, another
Swamp
vehicle
Thing.
crashed into it. The driver of the first car was a 15-year-old girl, and the second car was driven by a 17-year-old girl.
Ugh.
When they rushed to help the creature, it turned out to be a man wearing a ghillie suit, a fancy camouflage costume.
Oh.
It's usually used by military hunters or paintball players. The suit makes a person invisible since, from the outside, it looks like an ordinary pile of leaves. The man's name was Randy Lee Tenley.
I did not
He
know
was
they were
44
called
years
ghillie
old.
suits.
As it turned out, Randy wanted to impersonate a mythical creature, Bigfoot. That's why he put on the costume and wandered along the highway until someone would call 911 and inform them of a Bigfoot on the loose. The authorities believed the man was most likely drunk. Instead of making himself
As you
as
are,
conspicuous as
normally,
possible, Randy
for
was
sure.
virtually invisible. That's why a Montana State Patrol police officer, Jim Schneider, ruled the two drivers to be innocent, since it was hardly possible to notice a person wearing such a costume right away. Sadly, Randy sustained injuries that were incompatible with life. Never walk on the highway if you're not wearing highly conspicuous clothing and even reflective elements during the night. The next story is yet another reminder that a desire to do something unusual can sometimes result in tragic consequences. April 2014. In St. Petersburg, Russia, a 17-year-old schoolgirl named Ksenia Ignatieva was standing on a railway bridge and contemplating the tracks converging in the distance. The girl decided to take a selfie against this background. She raised her phone and started moving it around in an attempt to catch a nice frame that fit both her and the railway tracks.
Gotta do it.
It was difficult since Ksenia wasn't tall enough. So she stood up on her toes, but suddenly lost balance and started falling right over the bridge railing. Panicking and trying to survive, the girl clutched onto some wire and was immediately hit with 1,500 volts. She fell onto the railway tracks and didn't show any signs of life.
How, like they have to make contact with something, right? I guess her foot was still like on the ground or something?
Unknown if Ksenia would have survived had she not grabbed the electric wire, as the bridge was 9 meters tall. It's approximately the 3rd or 4th floor of a multi-story building. So you should always focus on your safety instead of the perfect shot. And of course, never touch any wires with your hands, no matter what kind of wire. Just never do it. Safety always comes first, regardless of whether you're trying to take the perfect photo or if it's another trophy you're after. April 6th, 2019, Kruger National Park, South Africa. 5 poachers have decided to hunt some rhinos. The fact that it's illegal didn't stop the men since, to them, a rhino horn was a valuable trophy they could sell for a ton of money.
Isn't
In
there,
2017 alone, as many as 504
one white rhino
rhinoceroses
left, or
were
did
illegally
they
poached
already
in the
go
park.
extinct?
The administration can't control every inch of the park's enormous territory.
I know
even
they
more
were
so
like
given the fact
guarding
that
2
visitors
of them
only
because
get
they were
in
the
on a guided
endlings of their
safari,
species.
and poachers sneak in on foot. However, although before that fateful venture, the intruders' team used to be successful.
Yeah, here it is. The northern subspecies, very few individuals, only 2 confirmed left in 2018, 2 females. The world's last known male died in Kenya in 2018 at the age of, yep. They better get to cloning or something, because they are pretty much gone. Sad times.
Successful in everything. On that day, they heard someone's heavy steps behind their backs. It was an elephant. The giant animal attacked the poachers and knocked them off their feet. The elephant wouldn't back down. It assaulted one group member and kept stomping the man with its feet until he died. All of his colleagues were shocked. Those less injured pulled their dead friend's body off to the road, called the police to report a tragic incident, and then escaped to avoid being caught for illegal activity. However, the man's remains were never found, and the only thing that remained of him were the skull and a piece of his pants.
Jesus.
When his poacher friends ran away, the smell of the flesh and blood attracted lions. The animals tore the corpse apart. Fate played an evil joke on the
Lions
poacher.
gotta eat.
While trying to hunt down an
Can't
animal,
blame the lion.
he became a victim himself.
Lion's gonna
So
lion.
you should always follow wildlife park rules and never wander off alone if you don't have a guide or know where a safe shelter is. It's better to abide by the law and safety rules, or an even more horrific story can happen to you. A story like the following one. August 1999, Newport Harbor, California. 17-year-old Kim Millett was peeping into a telescope in the driveway of her house, trying to spot the Perseid meteor shower. This cosmic phenomenon can only be seen once a year, in August. However, streetlights were obstructing Kim's view, and the cosmic show was just gonna start. Then, her big brother Scott came to help her. The guy thought nothing bad would happen if he turned off one streetlight near their house, so that his little sis would see the sky. So, Scott took his tools, opened the streetlight's body, and started messing with its inner electrical workings.
Yes, that's good.
He most likely
Wonder
pulled
what's
out
gonna
the
happen.
inspection plate and then started cutting away at one of the exposed wires. Suddenly, Kim saw a bright flash of light, but it was no meteor shower. Her brother got electrocuted and fell onto the ground. Scott was lying by the lamppost unconscious, and when his little sister ran up to him, he already wasn't breathing. Paramedics didn't manage to resuscitate Scott.
Can't feel
Eventually,
bad.
Millett
Don't
didn't
fuck
know the
around.
electrical circuits of the
You're gonna
neighboring
find out.
streets were also connected to the power current.
They
This
found
means
out.
that the energy in the wires was enough for 80 streetlights. That's a deadly 4,000 volts. Just imagine
Gotta
how
learn Ohm's
powerful
law.
and painful this impact was for Scott, if it even left a pliers-shaped scar on his hand. Never tinker with any electrical systems if you aren't properly authorized.
Yep.
The next story is also about the danger of trying to solve a problem alone without the help of specially trained people. September 1998, California. Hector Mendoza was screaming with joy, riding the sharp turns of a roller coaster. He was at Great America Amusement Park on a coaster named Top Gun. However, this ride was different from how we normally envision roller coasters. Its cars have no floor.
Yeah, it's basically
Passengers
the
get into
Batman.
large, separate seats and are held in place with safety belts, just like in a regular car. This enables visitors to swing their legs during movement. The ride happens at 80 kilometers per hour and lasts for 2 minutes and 26 seconds. After Mendoza got off the roller coaster, he noticed that while he was there, the wind had blown off his cap, and it was now lying somewhere on the tracks. He
Okay,
started explaining to the operators that he needed to go back and get it. The employees didn't understand
This
Hector,
is what I
as
was
he only
talking
spoke
about.
Spanish. The operators tried to explain to the man that the only designated area where the visitors could approach the ride was at the entrance. Irritated, Mendoza brushed
I thought
them
it was
off
his
and
phone,
walked
though.
away. But the story didn't end there. Later, Hector stealthily entered a door with a sign that read, "Employees only," and made his way toward
What
the
a
roller
fucking
coaster tracks.
moron.
This door is typically only entered by specialists who check the ride when it's turned off, and there are no visitors. Crouching, Hector avoided the tracks and made for his cap. Meanwhile, the ride operators had already secured the next group of park guests on the coaster. One of them was Jessica Medina. The ride began. Suddenly, the woman started screaming, but it wasn't adrenaline she was screaming from. It was pain. She'd been swinging her legs so violently
Got
that she
him.
got a right leg bone fracture. The
Goddamn.
operators rushed to see what came in the way of the roller coaster's cars and were simply shocked to find dead Hector. When the man was standing right near the tracks,
Like, what the-
Jessica
like, it-
inadvertently hit him on the head.
Ah, it
at a great
frustrates
speed.
me so
He
bad.
died on the spot. Never enter restricted areas in amusement parks, and always follow the operator's instructions, who are responsible for your safety. Sometimes the desire to retrieve something we've lost can cause devastating results, just like in the next creepy story. August 2010, Bakersfield, California. An aquarium fish caretaker entered the Moody family home. Right away, the girl felt a strange, pungent odor. She started looking for its source and got to the fireplace. When she took a peek inside, the girl nearly fainted.
The body.
A woman was stuck in the chimney.
Yep.
The lady turned out to be
It
Jacqueline
happens.
Kodarak. William Moody was having a secret affair with Jacqueline. The relationship was far from simple, too. Although the lovers were hiding their passionate love, some locals still knew about them and told the investigation later that the two were constantly splitting and getting back together. On the day of the incident, the pair had likely fought again, and William didn't want to talk to Jacqueline. Some witnesses report having seen the woman at a bar drinking alone and being down in the dumps, after which she got up and walked somewhere hastily. As it turned out, Jacqueline wanted to discuss everything with William, so she went to his house, knowing he was there alone. However, her lover wouldn't let the woman in. Then Jacqueline found a shovel somewhere and used it to dig her way under the fence.
Crazy.
The door of the house was still locked.
Crazy.
However, the woman persevered and climbed a ladder to the roof. Took off.
This is another example of like having a degree doesn't mean you're not fucking moronic. Believe me, I know. It takes one to know one.
Off the chimney cap and started making her way down, legs first. Meanwhile, William had already escaped to avoid confrontation with his mistress. Regarding Jacqueline, she got stuck 60 centimeters from the fireplace's main opening. The poor woman could neither inhale nor exhale. It's unclear if she'd been calling for her beloved to help her and how quickly she died of asphyxia, since Jacqueline's body wasn't found by the pet fish caretaker until 3 days after she crawled into the chimney. Don't attempt breaking into other people's houses, as it can have deadly consequences. There are even more horrific stories of inattention turning out to be fatal. July 13, 1997, Virginia. 22-year-old Eric Barcia was working at a fast food place and was an extreme enthusiast. The guy wanted to do bungee jumping. For some reason, though, Eric decided to organize everything alone.
Oh, yeah, this is the guy that made his own bungee cord and didn't realize that they stretch. I watched a thing about this a few nights ago.
It's unknown whether no such activity was available in his area, or the man just wanted to prove he can construct something by himself. I only know that Eric tied together some bungee cords, which turned out a bit shorter than 21 meters. That was the height of the railroad trestle in Lake Ecotink Park. Eric knew his fall would have to stop at a short distance from the ground, after which the rope would bounce. He tied one end of the bungee cord around his legs, attached the other to the bridge railing, and jumped. Yet the cords didn't stop him above the ground. If Eric hadn't been a novice, he would have known how to correctly calculate it. The gap he'd left was too small, and when the ropes stretched, Eric hit the cobblestone pavement. The guy died on the spot. Never attempt to recreate extreme activities by yourself. Leave that to professionals who, unlike you, are aware of all the nuances and abide by the universal safety standards. Although
in college, like, me and my friend kind of drew up plans to build
July
a
9th,
hang glider.
1993.
We never got
Toronto,
through with
Ontario.
it, but
Gary
it probably
Holt,
would have
a
ended
Canadian
in
lawyer,
disaster.
was leading a tour around the Toronto Dominion Center skyscraper for a group of students who were also planning
I'd still
to
like to
become
try
lawyers.
it, though.
Gary specialized in corporate law and construction standards compliance. The lawyer had a shtick. He liked demonstrating the sturdiness of the windows in the building of his law firm, Holden Day Wilson. Gary would also do a run-up and slam against the window to show it was secure and wouldn't break.
You've heard of this,
He'd
too.
done this stunt many times before and always remained unscathed. This time, he ran to the window again in front of a suitable audience. The glass withstood him, but the frame did not.
That is
It
so
flew out of the
fucking
wall,
funny.
taking-
Like, that is the best advertising anyone could do for that glass manufacturer, because it did not break.
The glass and Gary along. All of this was happening on the 24th floor. The lawyer didn't survive. This came as a great shock for the students and Gary's fellow employees. The incident led to the demise of Holden Day Wilson Law Firm in 1996. Hoy's experience was featured in numerous
I don't know
TV
if it was
shows,
directly
including
responsible for
Mythbusters
that, but
and 1,000
definitely
Ways to
played
Die.
a large
It's
factor.
better not to tempt fate, even if you've done something dangerous hundreds of times already and have been lucky so far. But the previous story wasn't the most horrific outcome of spontaneous decisions. It's May 2018. The district of Odisha, India. An elite taxi driver, Prabhu Bhattar, was taking his passengers home from a wedding. He made a stop in the Nabarangpur district and went behind a hill near the road to urinate. There, Prabhu saw a wounded sloth bear. The driver decided to take a selfie with the animal.
Cute.
His passengers tried to talk him out of it, but Prabhu didn't listen. Suddenly, the sick animal regained consciousness and attacked the man. The footage shows that the passengers ran to help Prabhu, but were afraid to approach the scene, realizing that the bear could hurt them too. They threw sticks and stones at the animal, but their efforts were in vain.
What about pretzels?
Someone that didn't fear the bear was an average stray dog. It ran up to the predator, growled at it, and even bit the wild animal. This didn't help though, as the bear was much larger. Batur died on the spot, and the bear was taken to the vet to get its wounds treated. This may seem weird to you. The question might arise in your mind, why wasn't the bear put down? However, the bear didn't mess with the man first. The animal was just protecting itself. That's why you should never come close to wild animals, as they see this as a threat and will attack you, even if you weren't going to.
It's like joining the leopards will eat your face party, political party. And then they're gonna bitch because the leopards ate their face. Like, what?
I'll leave links to all these incredible stories below so you don't think I made them up. Unfortunately, they happened in real life. Share in the comments the strangest death you've ever heard of. Also, subscribe to my channel to stay informed about where danger might be lurking.
Strangest death I've ever heard of. I think the one where the pastor in like Brazil or something wanted to do a big skydive, and it was like rainy, and he like got this chair and floated up, and just like a big gust of wind just took him not anywhere near where they wanted to. It took him like out to sea or something, and nobody had anticipated that. It's the wildest shit. No, wait, the guy that got into the briefcase from his wife, he like died in this like briefcase thing. So fucking dumb. Like, I want to know what led up to that, because she was like, oh, we're playing hide and go seek. What the fuck? No, you're not. It's not how that works. Seeing if there's other shit here. Let's see. What time is it? 6. Probably go eat a little bit and be back. Play some Halo. Fuck the McRib. Is the McRib like actually back? McRib. Now I'm one of those people, like, I'm going to be eating my McRib pretty much every day for the next month. I know my vices. I'm okay with them. When does it come back? It's usually in like November. I guess they pushed it. Okay, December 3rd, that's what I thought. How did he get one early? Dame drops. I'm jealous. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna call it there. I'll be back in like an hour or something after I eat, and then we'll do other shit. And no one